Interesting repertoire. You're playing with a band tonight, but you also go solo, and if I'm not mistaken, with a ukulele, or?
That's correct, yeah. Yeah, I do play ukulele.
How did you get into playing with the ukulele for a punk gig?
To be honest, when I first started playing the ukulele, I didn't have my band at the time, so I'd only gone solo in 2011, 2012. And what I really wanted was an instrument that I could pick up that was easy to learn chords and keys and stuff and start writing music. I never really intended necessarily to play it live straight away. I just wanted to understand more about stringed instruments and being able to translate what I was writing lyrically and melodically and go into a room and say, this is what I want to hear. And yeah, then it just worked its way into my set. And I don't really play the ukulele like a ukulele. I bash it like a guitar. So,
which is the way to do it.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, it just ended up going in the set because some of the songs I was writing actually kind of needed the resonance and the higher tonality in the ukulele. So yeah.
So it needs a little bashing from that.
It does, yeah. It needs to be beaten up.
Definitely. got an amazing voice. And I've been trying to put my finger on it since I first heard it, and I can't. But you remind me of a punk singer from the 80s.
Oh, thank you.
Very strongly. And I just can't put my finger on her name at all. But where did you get your influence from and to have your style and how you carry with your voice?
So I was classically trained, but the influences that I've had throughout my life have been really strong female influences. So Gwen Stefani from No Doubt, Aretha Franklin, Skin from Skunk Anansie, Dolores from Cranberries, Debbie Harry from Blondie. Yeah. So lots of really unique sounding women with really strong, varied vocals is something that I've always been drawn to anyway. And I was brought up with a massive influence of different genres. So I guess those two things have melded together for me to then project.
And that really is reflected in the music because it's very different. You can't put your finger on it. There is no genre to it.
No.
You're a bit ska, you're a bit this, you're a bit that, you're a bit... Yeah. And I love that about it because it makes it interesting to watch as a person watching a band. And to ask, though, classically trained, how much training did you have? And from a young age, or did you start when you were a teenager?
I began different instruments. So when I was really a kid, I was playing clarinet. So I was actually classically trained as a clarinetist first, and then went into my passion as like a 7 to 11-year-old was actually big band jazz. To play. I started vocals when I was 15 because I discovered I could sing, but I wanted to be able to sing better. So my mum got me, I think it was only like 6 weeks worth of lessons as a kid as a 15-year-old for my 16th birthday. And I absorbed all of that information like a sponge, retained it, and then I just did those exercises every single day. And I just refused to let up, and I was going to improve my voice, and I was going to learn new techniques, and I used that to make sure that my voice was safe. And then I used my influences to understand and train myself to have varied techniques within my vocal. Which
explains how you're able to project some of the vocal styles that you have without damaging, because you can hear you're not damaging your voice by doing it.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And that's a very difficult thing to do. People underestimate that, but you've got real control with your voice.
I really appreciate that, thank you. I now teach vocals, so a lot of what I teach is to be able to have control, to come back to the classic exercises to maintain the safety of your voice. And it's all about breath control, vocal control, projection.
And where do you see you heading towards the future? Are you going to stick with what you're doing now, or do you have any new hopes or plans?
Do you mean musically?
Yes.
Like the direction we're going in? So as a band, I mean, we've had a couple of lineup changes recently, and I like to experiment with everybody's genre influence. So if somebody comes in the band and they're into metal, let's get some of that in there. If somebody comes in and they're into hip-hop, like, I love working with varied sounds. I think it enriches our music. We've got we've got a sound plate. We sound like we sound. So if somebody hears one of our new songs, I like to think that they're going to know that it's us. But we're always flipping how we're creating that and how we're going to put different genres into it. So there's always going to be an evolution. And I think any musician will tell you that evolution is always part of the plan. It's about growing and developing your sound and creating something new as you go forward. Because if you stick with just one sound all of the time, you as a musician gets bored, as well as the fans. So it's about pushing through that.
And do you find that people are very receptive to the changes that you bring and the progressions that you make in the band?
Yeah, I mean, our fan base, we're really lucky. Like, everybody's very supportive of anything that we do. So I think people know that we're never going to sound the same from song to song. We're going to sound like we've got a different genre, or we've got a different mind map of the way we want the song to sound. And so thankfully, since the inception of our band, we've always been very much like, we don't know what we're going to do next, so you don't know what we're going to do next. And people embrace that and they support us through that, and that's awesome. We're very lucky with that.
Definitely, because it's a difficult thing sometimes to sound different and to be different.
Yeah.
And to have people following you through your changes, even if they are smaller changes, is a very good thing to have with that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I think certainly if you have a band, say we could look at some of the bigger bands in the industry that have started off with a very specific sound and single genre, and then they've changed to the next album and the next album. They grow fan bases and they get new fans, but they also lose some of the old fans because the old fans want that old sound. And thankfully we don't have that risk because everybody knows that we've never had one pinpointed thing that we constantly follow. Equally though, it's been really hard for us to grow our fan base because as a listener I'm the same. Like, I will veer towards a specific genre or a specific sound because I enjoy that the most, and so it's been quite difficult to garner a fan base that really support that because they're used to, as it is natural to do, finding a sound and really loving that sound. So yeah, thankfully it's taken us a while, but we've now got a really strong, really supportive fan base. So.
Yes, you definitely do, because I keep hearing your name. Every time I turn around, it's like, there's Millie again, there's Millie again. Or as you guys get abbreviated down.
To Matsu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the letters, all the different letters. So it's easier, but that's also a mouthful to get out sometimes.
MMATSU.
Yes, exactly. You see, I knew I would trip over it. So
yeah, so we just call it Matsu a lot of the time.
yeah, makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
Yeah, it works for us, especially if we're going to put it on like clothing and stuff. It becomes Matsu.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And where can people buy Matsu?
So if you want the music, you've got the website www.millie-manders.com. We've got all our CDs, our T-shirts, everything like that on there. You can obviously go to any of the streaming websites. We're on all of the majors. You can even put us on your Instagram story. But yeah, we're pretty much everywhere in terms of online or physical CD sales. We've got physical stuff at the merch desk today as well. So.
Well, thank you very much. I'm looking forward to finally getting to see you because I've only heard you recorded. So.
Well, thank you very much for your support and thank you for interviewing me today.
Thank you.